if you want to test your Swift code, you don't have to make a project and write code to test. You can test it in the playground, which is a place in Xcode where you can simply type in your Swift code and then you can see the result. So let me make a demo by first. I'm going to run Xcode. Okay, I want to Xcode to be here. You cannot see that thing. Okay, so let me just move the thing. So this is my Xcode over here. I'm going to make a new playground. Okay, so I'm going to go to File, New, Playground, and I simply choose the default, which is iOS, a blank playground. Press next. I will just put the prefix 10 here, so I know I will delete it later. So I have on my desktop a playground. Let me click create, and there's my playground. And then in here you can type Xcode and see the result. So for example, I can type something like that: x equal to 3, let y equal to 2, right? And let me define a variable sum. Let's say I will start it with 0. Okay. So it's asking me. Okay. Then sum is equal to x plus y. Now I'm going to look at the output area here. Click on the run button. Okay. I hope this will, you see the thing here going around. So Xcode is running. I don't know why it takes so long. Okay. Yep. It's working. So it's print out 5, as you can see, right? Because x plus y is 5. And on this side, you can see the current value of the variable. So it helps you to debug, right? So I'm going to delete this part there. So that's how you can test out different segment of Swift. Okay. Simply on the playground. Okay. So I'm going to go over the Swift features. I will emphasize the important feature because most of the standard features are just like any other construct in Java or in Python. Right? So once you know a language, it is easy to learn those standard features or constructs. Okay, so let's quickly go over the slides. There are official websites for the Swift language, right? So there is this one. Let me click on it. A tour of Swift. I'm going to open the link, and you see there, right? So this is everything you need to know and more about the Swift language. Right, that one. And then there is the official. So this is just a tour of Swift to introduce you to the Swift language. You can read the detail of Swift in this website here. So this is more technical in a sense. Okay. All right. So this is how you can define variables in Swift. So I say var string, str is for string, and I initialize it with a string. Right? And so Xcode know it's a string. Okay. I initialize variable count, which is an integer. Okay. In Swift, you don't need to have the semicolon to end a line. You can type the semicolon if you want to. So for example, this line here, var count equal to 2, count equal to 3 with nothing in between, that will give you an error. Right. But if I put a semicolon between the two count statement, then it will be legal. Right? So here I'm initializing count to 2, and in the second line I assign 3 to count. Okay. All right. On this code here, I define string to be a string variable. Okay. I assign then I can assign a value string to the variable string. If I define count to be an integer, I cannot assign a string to count. Right? It will give me an error. Okay. The good thing about Swift is you can use Unicode for character. Right, so you can use the Unicode for the pi sign, right, or the Chinese character or Arabic characters or whatever, right, and you can even use the emojis. Okay. Okay. Let me just give me 1 second. So here I'm defining pi to be a constant. Let mean the thing is a constant. Okay. So once I have a constant, I cannot give it a new value. So if I say pi equal to 42, of course I will get a value. Right? And then you can declare a float number, which is a 32-bit, or a double, which is 64-bit. And int for integer, this depends on your machine. Sometimes it's 32-bit, sometimes it's 64-bit. So let me bring in the playground and, you know, type, say, int. So I can, on my machine, I can have 64. 64-bit. Right? And I want to know the maximum value. Okay, let me see. What does it give me over here? I need to print it out. So let me try to print. Okay. Int 64 dot max. Run it. I will have a huge number. So this is the maximum integer with 64 bits. Okay. So you on the playground, you can figure out this value. Right? Okay. This is the thing that I like about Swift. Say you have a big long number, and it's really difficult to understand the magnitude of a number. Say, you know, you can have like 10 digits. It will be really difficult to understand the number. So you can separate the integer into group of numbers with the underscore. So this 1, 2, underscore 3, 4, underscore 5, 6 is the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Because maybe in your logic, each of these groups may have a meaning, right? So it's nice to be able to write things like this, right? Okay. And this is how you define a real number. Like you just say let a equal to 1 point something. So that's a floating number. Or you can force the variable that you or the constant that you define to be a float like this. Okay. Now the important thing about Swift is that it enforces the type very strictly. So if you have an integer and you have a float, you cannot add a float with an integer, right? So here a is an integer, b is a float. You're not allowed to add an integer to a float. Okay, because they are of different type. So what you can do is you have to convert the integer into a float like that, like this, and then you can add the two things together. So you have to do the conversion yourself. Okay. Right. Okay. But if you define a literal, or then you are allowed to add an integer with a float, because the result will be a float. So for a literal, you are allowed to do this. In the rare case where you have to be careful about the overflow, you know, for example, I don't know if, okay, let's say I have this number, right? And what if this is the maximum number, the maximum value that I can have. What if I add 1 to it? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. It's not allowing me to do this because it's an overflow. So it knows there is an overflow. The system cannot handle a bigger number. So plus detect overflow, the ampersand sign plus ignore overflow. So let me try this. I haven't rehearsed this, but let me see. Oversight plus. See if that works. Does it do anything for me? No, sorry. I have to do it. Let me do it. Yeah, right? Okay. Okay, it gives me the minus number. So I add 1 to the number, it gives me the negative sign. If you taken a course in computer architecture, you know why I have a minus, right? Because the first bit in the binary representation, the first bit denote the sign, right, of the integer. So 0 means positive, 1 means negative, I believe, right? So so I take the maximum value, I add 1 to it, I get a negative value. Okay. All right. And then you can define a string like this. And if you want to print out the code sign, you have to type in this is called the escape sign, right? The slash, because then this, if you print out this code, it will be code with the two codes, right? Because the first code is to say this is the beginning of the string, the last code is the end of the string, and the slash code means I had to print out the code, right? Okay. I think you know this from C, right? Or Java, it's the same. Okay. So it's a click view hide inspector. So thank you. So from AZ, so I'm going to click view. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you to Adam, because it makes things more manageable for me. Okay. And sometimes you want to print, say you have a variable that is an integer, and you want to print that out as a string, because that will be part of a bigger string that you want to print out, right? So this is called interpolation of the expression. So say I have a variable here. I want to express that as a string, right? So I have to write slash between the parentheses, the name of the variable. So for example, if I write print in the code, right, the value of pi is, and then I want to print out the value in as a string, right? So I have to say slash parentheses and then parentheses. Okay. So I'm not going to demo this because you can demo this for yourself. In strings, plus mean concatenate, and you can compare string as usual with the double equal sign or the exclamation mark and equal sign. The function count element return the length of the string, which is the number of characters in the string. Okay. And then you, for a string, you can change it to uppercase or lowercase. That's easy. And this is how you can iterate over every character of a string. I think you've seen this in Python, perhaps. So it's just the standard construct. Okay. I had to make this thing a little bit smaller. Now, I want to emphasize this part, which is, I think you haven't seen this in the other language that we have taught you. I think up to this level in year 4, I think you have done C, right? Python, Java, maybe C++. Right? Swift is a newer language, so it has some newer construct. And one of the newer construct is the optional. Okay. So an optional represents 2 possibilities. Either there is a value, and if there is a value, you can unwrap it to get the value, or there is not a value at all. Okay. So when there is not a value at all, the optional will have the value nil, NIL. So it's like the null value in C, right? In C, you know, if you have a pointer with a null value and you want to access it, you get an error, right? So this is the same thing like that. Right? So let me give you an example. Okay. Let's say here I declaring a string, right? And I want to convert the string into an integer. So I will use the function int. So this function int, given the string, we convert an integer. Okay. So let's do that in Xcode. Okay. So I'm going to, maybe I should delete this because it may be annoying to have. So I'm going to copy and paste because it's easier. So I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste here. Okay. When I copy and paste, there is a problem with the code, so I have to retype my code. Okay. Let's run it. So I over here I can see the value, right? So converted number is an integer, and it has value 1, 2, 3. Possible number is a string, as you can see here, and the string is 1, 2, 3. Now, what if my my string is bad? That means like this. then I cannot convert it into a string, right? So if I run it, and this should be the correct output, agree? New, because 1, 2, 3x cannot be converted into an integer. And it is the application, one of the applications of the optional, right? So, so the function int return an optional, right? Which can be an integer or a value new. Okay. So the function int return int with the question mark. Okay. So for example, you can declare a variable to be an optional, an integer optional, right? Because the variable may have maybe an integer or it may be new. Okay. I will give you some example. Okay, so let me copy this code here. Okay. Copy and paste this code. Here I have the converted number, and then I write this code here. If the converted, okay, now okay, I need to, I have to have a space before the expression. I'm going to run this code. Nothing will happen, right? Actually, maybe I should put in the else statement. Print. Now run it. Yeah, right, because I am starting out with a bad string, so I cannot convert that into an integer. So the function int, instead of crashing, imagine if you run this thing in C, right? And you, if you cannot convert a string into a variable, maybe the C compiler will crash, right? So here, the function int will not crash; it will return the new value. So then I'm testing the result. If it is new, if it is not new, then I print out the value or something. And if it is new, I will print out that it has no value. Maybe here, if I say, let me run, and let me get a good string and run it. Okay, I know why, because okay, why do I get it? Okay. Let me try this. It doesn't work. Okay, I have to convert. Okay, sorry, I want to print. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do the thing that I'm saying I'm going to do. Okay. Okay, let me run this again. Okay. I have how many? Okay, why does it? Unterminated string literal. Let me see. Okay. This one go with that one. This one. Why is it red? I forget that one. Okay. Right. So when I have when converted number is a value, I have to unwrap it. See, the exclamation mark mean I want to unwrap this optional. I cannot just print out the optional. I have to unwrap it and I have to interpolate it, right? Because this is now an integer and I want it to be a string, right? It's part of this string. So what if I remove the unwrapping function? Let's see that. What happened? Let's run it. Okay, there is already complaining about see, it's a string interpolation produce a debug description for an optional value. Did you mean to make this explicit? Let's say I'm just ignoring it and running it. So you see what is printed over here? Because converted number is an optional integer, right? So the value of it is optional and then the integer. You see? So if I really want to access the integer, I have to do the unwrap function. And now I will get that. Okay. So actually, this is a good example. I'm going to save it. Okay. Okay. All right. So far, things are simple. But then later on, you will see that the optional can be really complicated. Okay, so let's just go on. So as I mentioned before, on an optional, if you use the unwrap operator, it will try to get the value of that optional, right? Okay. Okay, I have one for this. Okay. Another thing is, you know, if you think about the thing here, so I have a variable. I don't know whether it is new or not, so I have to do this test, right? If this variable is not new, I do something, otherwise I unwrap it and do something else. A way to get around that is to use the let function. Remember that let define a constant, right? So over here, I apply the integer function to the string. So I know that what I get is an optional, right? The optional can be new or can be an integer. So to figure out which is which, I use the let operator. So let actual number equal to the int of this, right? And so there are cases when the int value will produce an integer or it will produce a new value, right? So the body of the if statement will be executed if there is a real value, right? So you can print out a value. But if the output of the int function is new, then the else part is executed. Right? So this is one way to avoid, you know, checking, you know, is something new or not new. You just say let a constant be to be that value, right? And then you can distinguish between two cases right away. So this is a easier way to decide whether a variable is new, an optional is new or not new. Okay. And now there are a thing which is a little bit more complex. Let me just quickly go over it. Here I'm declaring possible string to be an optional, right? An optional string because I have a question mark here. Right? So if I really want to get the string value of that, I have to unwrap it explicitly. Right? I have to use the unwrap because possible string is an option. Okay. And in this second declaration, I want assume string to be a real string. That means it cannot be new. Right? So this is a string. Then when I want to get the value, I don't have to unwrap it explicitly because I know it is a string. So this is what this means. Okay. And the next thing I want to talk about, because actually we use a lot. Actually, if you remember in the first lesson, I used the double question mark operator. It is called the new coalescing operator. So what this means is if the optional value is missing, then a default value is used. So for example, I define a nickname, which is an optional. Okay. And then I define a full name, which is a string, and I want to print out the value. So let me just put this in the I'm going to delete that. Okay. Run it. Okay. If we complain about it, sorry, every time I copy and paste, I have to retype the code. That's fine. I'm going to retype the code. Yeah, maybe there. Okay, it should be there. Let's run it. Okay, sorry, I forgot to print it. Okay, let me print it. See, so so let's look at this string here, hi, and then I interpolate the value of nickname, right? So if the nickname is new, then the value of this is full name. Right? But if the nickname is not new, then I just get the nickname and not the full name because I want an informal greeting. So let's see. You know, this person is. Say Johnny. Right. Right, you can see here. Right. So here because the nickname has a string value and it's not new, so the value of this thing is just the nickname. So I don't have to bother with the full name. Okay, so that's what it means here. If the optional value is missing, then a default value is used. In our case, the default value is the full name. Okay. All right. So this is very useful. Right. We use that a lot. Okay. Okay. Now this is a big problem when you unwrap a value. Okay. Say you have a value which is an optional, and if the optional here has value new and you unwrap it, Xcode will produce an error. So let me do that. Yeah, I'm going to delete. Let's run. See? So typically the error is unexpectedly found new, right? Because here we are unwrapping name, which is an optional string, but the name doesn't have really a string, right? Because we haven't initialized it. So let me try to initialize it. I think I need a equal sign. Then you know, when I unwrap name there, because I have a string, so it print out a string. Okay. So what it means is, in most cases, before you unwrap an optional, you have to make sure that it is not new. Okay, that's what it means. And a way to get around this is to use the new coalescing property, right? Because then you don't run into an error, right? Because here, if the name is new, then I use no name, right? So for example, let's go back to this code. Let me comment this out. I'm going to delete this part because okay, sorry, okay, I forgot to delete this part. Sorry, why then? Oh, I think I know why. Because because when I copy and paste, I have to retype the codes. Hopefully this works now. Okay. How do I clear this now? Sorry, there is a bug. Okay, actually the thing is running here. You can see. I think I have to reset this. So okay, maybe my playground is hanging because it run into an error over here. Let me see, is there a stop button that I can use? Let me see here. Okay, I think my playground, for whatever reason, I created an error and now it's refusing to run. Okay. Sorry. It's just, you see the thing that go around here, right? Okay, anyway, you have seen I think I may have to stop it and run it again. Let me just stop it. Okay, and I have to find it in my playground. So where is my playground? Let me check here. That was here. Okay, hopefully it will work here. Yeah, it takes a long time. I don't understand why, but yeah, you can see it's been now no name, right? So it doesn't crash. So the new coalescing operator is very useful to protect against undefined value, right? Okay, I think we have to go faster. And the optional thing is also protect you against a lot of problem with value of variable. So for example, I'm declaring a person, the class. So this is the class person that I'm declaring, and the person has a variable which is a car, which is an optional of the object car. And so the class car is it has a make, right, which is a string. So it could be like a Honda, or Toyota, or whatever. Okay. And here, let's say now I define a person, an object person, which is the class person, and I want to access the make of the car of the person. Right? So I'm writing here, if let the make person dot cause question mark dot make. Okay. Here, if you just look at it, you will think that, oh, this thing will crash. Or why? Because the make of the car of the person has not been defined, right? Okay, let me copy and paste this. Let me copy and paste. Now I have to be careful when I produce an error in the playground. Sometimes it just hang. Okay, now see, it's always I have to retype the thing. Yeah. Why is it complaining here? Okay, it's a replace. It's the I don't see a problem there, but let me yes. No, I'm sorry. So when I copy and paste, there is these like characters that somehow it got in. Okay, so let's run this thing and see what we get. Person has no car. Why? Because this person dot car question mark dot make is new, right? It's new. So so if I just print out here before I do that, let's say if I print person dot car dot make, what do you think will happen? So it's say the value of car must be unwrapped to refer to the make. Yes, because car has a question mark, right? So if I unwrap it to get rid of the compiling error, I will have a runtime error, right? If you think about it. Right? Because it's a new value here. And now I have a new value and I want to access a make of the new value. Of course, thing will go bad, right? What if I replace this by a question mark? Okay. And run it. Okay. Sorry, it gave me like every time I have an error, it's the thing. Okay. When I make it, okay. Yeah. Let's see how it works. Let's see. See, you see new is printed out. Why? Because person dot car question mark dot make is new. And actually this is a very good thing because it doesn't crash the app, right? Because it knows that car is actually new. But car question, so when car question mark, when the optional is new, the system know that it will not go to the next step and trying to get the make. Because if it try to go to get the make property, it will crash because the make property does not exist. Okay, so so this is why the optional thing is interesting here, right? It allows you to handle the special case, okay, like this. For array, I think it's just the usual thing. Right? This is how you define an array, right? integer array of strings, and you can specify the index of the array. Right? That's the usual thing. You can have things like array of string. Right? So, for example, you can initialize an array of string with 2 strings. Right? The function is empty. Right? Return true or false. Actually, I think in the new Xcode, this may have been changed a bit. So let me copy and paste. I'm going to copy and paste this. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to delete all of that. Okay. So again, it's not giving me the error. Not yet. I think. Okay. So let me copy and paste this one. Let's run it. So you see the property is empty. Tell me whether the array is empty or not empty. Okay. And then you can append. You can add a new element to the array. Okay. You can append in different ways. You can use the function append, or you can simply write plus equal with the new item that you want to append. Right? You can append an array to an array. So that's what this means here. You can retrieve the value of an array by specifying the index, right? Or this is interesting. You can specify a range of index. So here the 3 dots mean get everything from 4 to 6. So 4, 5, 6. Right? Okay. And actually here there are 3 elements, right? 4, 5, and 6, and we are replacing it with 2 elements. So if you started out with 7 elements, now you have 6 elements. Okay. So the range, when I write the array name with indices between dot, dot, and less than, here it will mean I want to get the element from 1 to anything which is less than 3, which is 1 and 2, right? So this return to the array 2, 3. So 2, 3 there. Here in this code, I replace 2 elements, element 1 and 2, with element 4, right? So if this code is like this, I will get 1 and 4. Okay. Okay. Now I forget what this means. Let me see. Integer equal to 1.2.3. I think it just, let's run that. Okay, let's run this. Yeah, I think it has. I think I don't know why I have that over here. I shouldn't have it. Let me comment this out. Okay. 0 dot 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 1. Let me comment that out. Okay, sorry. There is somehow it doesn't. Okay, sorry, I haven't printed out. Well, but actually you can see the result here. Right? So here the result, the integer is 1, 2, 3. Right? And for this code, I just get 1 and 2. Get element 1 and 2 as array, reason is 2, 3. Because of course, so that's the reason 0, right? 1 and 2, right? So 2, 3. Replace 1 and 2 with 4. So reason is 4. Okay. Replace element 0 and 1 with 5 and 4. Okay, so here I shouldn't have 3. Integer 0 and 1, it's just 5 and 4. I don't think I have a 3 here. If I put that in, I think it has to be comma. I think that was a typo. It should be comma. Yeah. So now I should get 5 and 4. Right? So there is an error in the note here that I will have to change. I have to remember that. That's one. Okay. And the count property return the size of the array. Okay. You can insert item into the array at a given index. You can remove an item from an array if you are given the index. Okay. You can remove the last item. Okay. You can iterate over an array. So for item in shopping list, print the item, we'll print out all the items in the array. Okay. You can iterate over the index and the value of the array. But when you do that, you have to use the enumerated function, right? So you want to know for the index, for the first item, what is the value? For the second item, what is the value? Right? So you iterate. In the iteration, you specify the index and the value, and then you can get it from here. Okay. I think these things are very, very standard. Okay. I want to talk a bit about the key and value because I want to do an exercise. Hopefully we get to that pretty soon. So dictionary are set of key and value, right? So for example, I can define an variable airport to be a dictionary that have a key to be a string and a value to be a string. So for example, YYZ is the value, sorry, the key, and total person is the value. So here I have 2 keys and 2 values. So these are simply the key are the code of the airport, right? The value are the name of the airport. Okay, so this is how I can define that dictionary. And I can access a lot of things in the dictionary with a given function. So as usual, count means the number of items in the dictionary. Is empty, tell me whether the dictionary is empty or not. So that's very standard. Okay. I can add a new item with a key into my dictionary. So here I add an item which has the key LHR and the value is London. Okay. I can access the key to change the value. I can find the value given the key. So here I'm looking for the key DUB, right? If it is there, I want to print out the name of the airport. If not, I want to say the airport is not in the dictionary. So I think these are very standard, right? I can remove a key, or even I can remove a key by setting it to be new, right? Okay. I can remove a key. I can remove a value that is associated with a key. Remove value for key given the key. Okay. I can iterate over a dictionary. So I know airport is a dictionary, right, with key and value. So my key here would be airport code. The value is airport name. So I will iterate over it like this. I can iterate over all the keys to get the airport. Yes, the airport key. Right? I iterate over the keys. Yeah. I can iterate over the values. Right. This is a little bit you can convert the keys to array, right? So here the keys are converted into array, the values are converted into an array in case you want to handle array instead of key. Okay. 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 You can make your dictionary empty, right? For simply to write it like this. Right? Say this would be your dictionary, and you set equal to just this sign, mean you don't want anything to be in it. Okay. Okay, so let me try to, I want to go over this. Okay. Let's say now I define this is a dictionary, right? With the key and the value. So spider, so here the key are the animals, all right? And the value are the number of legs that the animals have. So a spider has 8 legs, right? An ant has 6 legs. A cat has 4 legs. Right? I can iterate over the everything in the dictionary, right? So for animal name, leg count, in number of legs, I print out the animals and the legs, right? Okay. So let me, we're going to take a break now, but I want to pause this as an exercise for you to do if you want to do during the break. So given this, okay, dictionary, can you write code that return the number of animals with say 4 legs? Okay, so let's say these are my this is my dictionary. Okay, so can you write codes to take number of legs as input and tell me the number of animals that have 4 legs in the dictionary? Okay, so let's take a break for 5 minutes, and then when we come back, we will finish off this lecture. All right. Hi everyone, we are back. Does anyone want to tell me the solution to the exercise? Does anybody want to volunteer a solution? Right, so I'm given a dictionary with animal and number of legs of the animal. I want to write code, so that would be a for loop, right? That would return the number of animals that have 4 legs. Did anybody try? Did you have enough time for this? No? Okay. Okay. So I see no volunteer. So anyway, let me, I'm going to copy the definition of my dictionary, right? And I want to write a loop, right? That iterate over every element of the dictionary. And for each element, I want to look at the number of legs. If it is 4, then I want to add it to a sum. Agree? Right? So I have to declare a variable. Variable number of animal. Okay, this would be like number of animal with 4 legs. So it's a bit lengthy, but right. Okay. Now I want to iterate over my dictionary. So can somebody tell me how to iterate over this? Okay. I want to iterate, but I want to iterate on the number of legs. Okay, well, actually, I can just simply iterate over all the elements, right? And in the chart, I have put down there, or actually in the previous screen, right? This is how you iterate. Agree? There, right? This we get every element of the dictionary, and the element come in pair, right? The name of the animal and an integer. So let me copy and paste. Boom, right, like that. Okay. And what do I want to do in this loop? I'm going to check if leg count is 4, right? Because I want to, that's the only thing I want to look for. Then I want to increase the number of animal with 4 legs, right? By 1, right? Agree? Agree? Right? Okay, how come is that? I forget now. I mean, okay. I'm sorry, I have to add 1. This is how you add 1 to the variable, right? And then after this loop, I simply print out. I don't even have to. Okay, I'm going to print it out. Print out number of animal with 4 legs. So let's run this and see. Okay, somebody is typing something there. Let me try to, this is how I would solve the problem. Let's see if it works. Actually, it works, you see. It print out 2 because I have here, I have how many things have 4 legs? Cat and dog. Well, there is a thing here, but yeah, because I didn't use animal's name, so I can replace it with a underscore. That's true, right? I just, you know, if I want to say how many animals have 6 legs, I'm going to run there and okay, there is a question here. Can I do for leg count in number of leg dot value? Let's try that. Okay, let's try this. That's interesting. No, I'm going to type okay for leg count number of legs dot value. I think this may work. You know, I'm going there, and then I'm doing this, right? So is that equal to 4, and now I have to comment out this. Right? This is a second solution. I think this will work. Let's try it. Yes, right? So here I iterate over all the values, right? And I get the value leg count, right? And if I say 8, what happened? That should be 1, right? The result should be 1. Yep, right. If I say like 7, does any animal have 7 legs? I should get 0, right? Okay, so this is another solution. Okay, this is good. So I'm going to save this solution. Okay. So you can have different solutions. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the second solution. This is a very interesting point in computer science because what it means is for every problem, you may have many different solutions, right? Some solutions are nicer than others. I think the second solution is nicer than the first solution because it's simpler, right? In the for loop, you only iterate over just one property, which is the value, right? Whereas in my solution, you iterate over actually 2 values, right? 2 value of the dictionary items. Okay. All right. So that's the thing. And let me try to go over some of these things quickly. So for the C-type loop, you can do it. Nobody is doing it now, but if you want to, you can write a C loop. Okay. The while loop is as usual. It's exactly the same. Do while is the same, right? And the if statement is the same as the C if statement or the Java if statement. If else is the same, right? Okay, let's talk a little bit about the switch statement. We all know the switch statement, right? So you switch on some value to consider, and you should have a case for each value, and you should have a default. If none of the previous case apply, then the default should be applied. Okay, so these are the important things about the switch property. The switch statement must be exhaustive, so it has to cover all all possibilities. Right? You can define a default catch-all case to cover all the values that are not addressed explicitly. So I think it's always safe to define a default case. Right? And the default case must appear last. That makes sense. And one very important thing here is there is no implicit fall through. Okay. What this means is in other languages, I don't remember what C does, but say look at case of value 1. So there will be a bunch of statements here that handle the case of value 1, right? But at the end of the statement, you must have a break statement. Because if you don't have a break statement, then the next code is executed. So that's called fall through, right? And fall through is actually a very bad design. Very bad design. So at least in Swift, they know, there's no implicit fall through. So when you write the code for value 1, it's just for value 1. It's not applying to value 2 or 3 and so on. Okay, so that's a very important point to remember. Okay. So there are a bunch of example here for the switch case. You can read it on your own. I think it's just nothing very like important or difficult to understand. You can use a case, the matching, right? So you can have the 3 dots. So here, say in this way, here it cover all the cases, a value from 1 to 3, right? From 4 to 9, thing like that. Okay, so that's easy. We didn't talk about tuple. So let me go back and talk about tuple. Okay. I have to find. Wait, let me try to find tuples. Yeah. I want to talk about tuple because this is a very interesting about Swift. So a tuple is simply a group of values, and that is collected into a compound value. So for example, I can define my point to be a tuple of 2 values, x and y. Okay. So here, the name of the 2 values is x and y. So every tuple has 2 values, like this. So you can refer to a tuple by the x value and the x name and the y name, or you can simply not refer to the tuple name, just write down the value. Right? And you can specify access the name of the tuple by just explicitly writing it out like this. So here I'm setting 11 to the name, to the property name x of the tuple. Okay, so that's what the tuple means. Okay, so let me try to find tuple again. You can do a switch statement on tuple. Like I have a tuple here, so my switch would be on the value of the tuple, right? So I have 2 values, x and y. The underscore means I want to match any value. So here I'm going to match any tuple that have the x value to be 0. Okay, so that's we see the interesting thing about tuple later. You can do range value within a tuple. You can do binding value with a tuple. So for example, I have a point, and this case means I want to get it. I will execute it when the point has the y value to be 0. Say when the y value to be 0, I want to retrieve the x value. So I say let x here. That means x now is the value of the point that has the 0 value as a y coordinate. Okay. In the last case here, you can see that means I want to get every point. Okay, select x1. All right, so that's a lot of things that we have covered so far. Let's stop here, and in the next lecture, I will cover the rest of Swift. Okay.